Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. We've got a beautiful spring day here in Wisconsin. I feel like I'm going to be able to get out and do a lot more videos for you guys, especially a lot more on the water here coming up pretty soon. So I'm excited for that. I know you guys like the on the water videos. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying a nice spring day on the deck, except for the mosquitoes. They've kind of come out pretty hardcore the last couple of days. And we got a lot of pollen in the air, so the allergies are kind of kicking up a little bit as well. But having said that, I want to get to today's topic. I've gotten a lot of questions recently about things that you can do to generate more strikes. What are some of the key things to help people catch more bass? And I got to tell you, I feel like there's really one thing that can take an avid angler up to more of an experienced level when it comes to generating bites and being a better fisherman. And that has to do with being able to create reaction strikes. If you can generate reaction strikes from the fish, that means not only are you going to get them to bite when the fish are actively feeding, but you're going to get bites when they're not actively feeding because you're creating a reactionary strike out of that fish. It honestly, in my opinion, is what makes the best anglers out there who they are in terms of they're able to generate strikes from fish that have no intention to bite, but because they can create a reactionary strike, they generate strikes from those fish. So I want to talk about the three main ways to create a reactionary strike. I truly believe this is something that will help you become a much better angler and catch a bunch more fish. Now, before I get to these three tips, I want to remind you guys that I do have a members only portion of the YouTube channel. If that interests you, some additional content. We do monthly videos, additional monthly videos, a monthly live stream. You have direct access to me. Please check out my members only. As well as if you're looking to support the channel and need to purchase some tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link, which I'll put in the video description. All right, guys, so when it comes down to generating reaction strikes, there's three aspects of your fishing that you need to look at. First is bait choice. The baits are critical. There are a lot of baits that are really good at generating strikes. Your chatter baits, your crank baits, anything that has an irregular motion and randomly darts off to the side is a really good way of generating reactionary strikes. Now, it doesn't have to be just a moving bait. You could be looking at like a soft jerk bait, like a fluke. That bait just sits there, and then when you twitch it, the bait darts to one side or the other. That quick darting motion is what generates the strikes. But you need to recognize whatever bait it is that you're using, does it have action in itself to create reactionary strikes? So if it does, you're good to go with just normal retrieves, just moving that bait as you normally would fish it. But there are a lot of baits out there that don't really create a reactionary strike. So when that comes across, you have to impart the action. And there's two ways to impart the action. The first we're going to talk about is your rod. So your rod selection is pretty important in creating a reactionary effect and generating those strikes from the bass. So let's say specifically you're using a jig. A jig is a bait that just kind of crawls along the bottom, doesn't have a whole lot in it that creates a reactionary strike from the fish, meaning it doesn't dart right, dart left. You have to impart that action. So your rod choice is important in the way you work your rod. So a lot of the best jig fishermen out there will let the bait go to the bottom and then they give a quick wrist snap. And what happens is that jig explodes off the bottom and generates reactionary strikes from that manner. Other people like to stroke the jig high off the bottom. So they're really snapping the rod hard, getting that bait to shoot 6 feet up in the water and then sink really fast back to the bottom. Those are great ways at generating strikes. Some people like to deflect the jig off of the cover that they're fishing. So maybe they're skipping docks. They like to hit the dock posts on the retrieve. If you're fishing lay down trees, you want to bump the different branches in the tree. Those are all really good ways to do it. But you're using your rod, meaning you're moving your rod so that you make contact or you make that bait explode off the bottom. The last way to create that reactionary strike is just through your reel handle, the speed at which you're moving the bait. Now you can change your speed very easily by just adjusting your reel speed or imparting a change up in the retrieve. So if you're just casting and straight retrieving back, that bait isn't doing anything special if it doesn't have the ability to impart a reactionary strike on its own, meaning it doesn't have that crazy movement. So if you're just straight retrieving it, the bait's not doing anything, your rod's not imparting action, and your reel handle, because it's moving at the same speed, isn't imparting any action. Now, if you were to stop and go your retrieve, all of a sudden your bait's moving, it stops. Moving, stops. And every time it stops, that can create a reactionary strike. So you need to keep in mind that if you're not imparting action with the rod tip and your bait doesn't have the ability to create a reactionary strike on its own, then the last way you can do it is through changing up your retrieve speed. Not just going slow to fast, but some people like to do hard half turns, hard quarter turns, and that gets the bait to kind of dart around in the water column. So make sure you play around with all of these. Change the way you hold the rod during a cast. Change your retrieval speed with your reel handle, and find baits that impart action on their own. And if they don't, you need to make sure that you do it. I'm telling you, if you do this and you pay attention to it, you will get bites not only when the fish are actively feeding, but when they're not actively feeding. And that's what will make you a better fisherman. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new video coming out tomorrow.